Blink obviously decided that he needed to make an entrance. Hey, are you just gonna hang out there for the video?
You can say hi to everybody.
Hi guys, and welcome to the video. It's your vet Amanda. Today's video is in honor of being a veterinarian for officially 1 year now, which is absolutely crazy to say, but I thought to commemorate this milestone in my veterinary career, we would kind of throw it back to a video idea that really took off on my channel when I first started. You guys absolutely loved it, and it was 5 things that I learned in my first year of vet school. What a better way to celebrate 1 year of being an actual veterinarian 4 years after that video, and talk about the 5 most important things I learned as a new grad veterinarian. This past year has been an absolute roller coaster of emotions. There's been some really high highs and also some really low lows. But as I was sitting down to reflect on this past year, there were 5 things that really resonated, 5 really important things that I wish I would have known prior to starting out as a veterinarian, or things that I kind of already knew, but just wish I had that extra reminder for. Those are the things we're gonna be talking about today, and I hope it's helpful for you wherever you are on your veterinary journey, whether it's just starting out in vet school, whether it's literally getting ready to step into practice any day. Hopefully you keep these things with you in mind and they help you in some way, shape, or form. If you're not following me over on Instagram, I will leave a link down below in my description, or you can find me at Your Vet Amanda. I'm a little bit more active on there. I share kind of daily real-time updates of what being a vet is like. So if you want a little bit more content about the veterinary profession, what life as a new grad is like, I don't know how much longer I can say life as a new grad considering I'm a year out, but if you want more vet content, feel free to go follow me over on Instagram. There's also a lot more link content over there as well, so even if you just want to see his cute face, then yeah, that Instagram is where it's at. Without further ado, let's jump into the 5 most important things I learned in my first year of being a veterinarian. Okay, number 1 is actually a throwback because I talked about this in my first year vet school video. It's a topic that I have consistently struggled with all throughout my veterinary journey, and no different starting out my life as a veterinarian, and that is that imposter syndrome is something that never truly goes away. I knew starting out as a new grad, imposter syndrome was gonna be inevitable to avoid. It was gonna be a part of my day-to-day life, and it is what it is. What I don't think I realized is that imposter syndrome as a new grad, it comes with a vengeance. My first couple weeks, it was the worst imposter syndrome I have ever felt in my entire life. Every client that I saw, I felt so guilty because they were seeing the new grad and they weren't seeing a more seasoned vet. Every sick case that I had come in, every question that I didn't know the answer to, that imposter syndrome was louder than ever. And although the imposter syndrome did get better as I went through my first year of being a vet, it never does truly go away. Literally last week, I was doing a dental and I was almost in tears because I felt like I was back at my first day of being a vet again. Nothing was going right. I ended up breaking almost every root I tried to extract, and it was just this very humbling moment that even a year out in my career, just when you think you're getting more confident with surgeries, with sick cases, with all of the things that come with being a vet, there are gonna be moments that are gonna put you back in your place really quickly and literally bring you back to those first few days of being a vet. So I think the whole point of this section is not to try and give you some magical answer on how to get rid of imposter syndrome. If you know the magical cure, feel free to let me know, because here we are. But I just wanted to start this video off as a little reminder that imposter syndrome is something that everyone is going to experience in their veterinary career, whether you're a day out, a year out, or 10 years out. There are going to be times where it's going to feel more overwhelming than others, but I hope it makes you feel a little bit less alone or a little bit less overwhelmed, knowing that every single person around you in the veterinary field has been in your shoes at one point or another. I think the positive side of imposter syndrome is that I tend to typically experience it in moments where I'm gonna grow from, or moments where I'm really truly learning. And as uncomfortable as those feelings can be, where you're just doubting yourself and even questioning why you're in this profession, the outcome of it, or the bigger picture of it, is that you are learning, you are growing, and all of these uncomfortable moments are gonna make you into a better veterinarian. Hard to convince yourself of that in the moment. All those really uncomfortable, overwhelming feelings, it really has truly shaped me into the vet that I am today, a year out. So I hope that gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that, you know, it does get better with time. It's never gonna fully go away, but I promise you're not the only one who's experienced those feelings. You're not the only one who is going through it. And if you ever need to chat about imposter syndrome, just know that I'm here because, like I said, I have so many days and so many stories where I have been in your exact same shoes. Okay, number one out of the way. Moving on to the second thing I learned, and this has actually probably been the hardest thing that I've had to learn or come to terms with as being a veterinarian, and that is that euthanasias are not the hardest part of the job. Now, this might be surprising to some of you because if you watched my first week as a new grad video, I'm literally sitting on the floor crying after doing my first euthanasia. And don't get me wrong, that euthanasia was really hard emotionally. It was a really big milestone in my career. It was also a really hard milestone in my career. A year out, I would say I've probably done over 50 euthanasias at this point, and I wouldn't say they necessarily get easier, but now at this point I'm definitely able to handle my emotions a little bit better. I really do feel a sense of gratitude that my profession allows me to end an animal's suffering. That's why they are not the hardest part of my job. I think of euthanasia as like one last gift or one last act of service that I can give to not only a patient that's suffering, but to a family that's having to say goodbye to a beloved pet. Being able to give a family a peaceful passing and a peaceful goodbye, it's honestly a part of the career that I'm extremely grateful for, which leads me to what I find most challenging about the job, and it's watching a patient suffer unnecessarily. As a vet, I can only do so much. I can only give my best advice, my best medical recommendations. At the end of the day, it's up to the owner which choice they end up pursuing. And there have been several cases that have really stuck with me over the past year where I've either had a client take their pet out of the clinic against medical advice, or I have seen cases where patients have suffered far longer than they should have. That is always the hardest part of the job, where the medical training kicks in, where you know deep in your heart as a veterinarian what the right choice is to make, and for whatever reason that's out of your control, you are not able to end an animal suffering. Was something that I actually did not expect going into the profession. I thought euthanasias were hands down going to be the hardest part of the job, and it's not. Not even by a long shot. It's definitely a hard thing to come to terms with. Moving on to a bit of a happier point, and that is that mentorship is going to look different for absolutely everybody. I remember in my 4th year of vet school, everyone talking about how mentorship was the most important thing they were looking for in a clinic, that, you know, they wanted to find a practice that had really good mentorship. And I 100% agree with that. But at the time, did I know what I was really looking for in terms of mentorship? No, not really. I think I got really lucky that my style of mentorship, or the way that I wanted to be mentored, is exactly what I ended up getting in my first job. But I remember really struggling with comparing my situation to my friends' situations at their clinics, and people would talk about how they were getting mentored or what their plan for like the first 6 months looked like as a new grad, and comparing it to my own situation and being like, ooh, mine doesn't really look like that. Does that mean I'm not getting good mentorship? Moral of the story is that mentorship is going to look different for everyone based on how you learn, based on what you're looking for out of a job, based on what you want to achieve in a period of time. And I think this isn't just important in your first year of being a vet. This is important for like years down the road in your career, but also in your 4th year of vet school when you're looking for a job. Let me know if you guys want me to film a video talking specifically about mentorship. I can go over what I got out of my first year, compare some of my friends' stories, because I think there's a lot of different learning styles that people have, and what fits for one person is not necessarily going to work for another person. The biggest reason why I wanted to talk about this is just because I don't want anyone watching my videos or anyone who's been following along with my journey feel like they need to find a mentorship style that was similar to mine to have a good experience in their first year of being a vet. I know a lot of people who, you know, their first year looked a lot different than mine and they are just as happy as I am. And I know a lot of people who have very similar mentorship than I have, and they, you know, did not have the best time out being a new grad. So I think it just goes to highlight that every person is gonna need something different out of their job. Every person is gonna need something different out of, you know, their mentors, and every person learns a little bit differently. If you are out in your first year and you're comparing yourself to classmates, just get out of that mindset and just figure out what you need specifically to be the best version of you. Figure out what your goals are for 3, 6, 12 months out, and then find the mentorship that is gonna allow you to meet those goals. And if you are a new grad and you're not getting the mentorship that you feel like you need, don't be afraid to speak up about it. Don't be afraid to voice your opinions to, you know, the other vets in your practice, to your supervisors. Sometimes people just don't know how you learn best, and sometimes people just need you to sit down and be like, look, when I come to you asking a question, panic, I don't need you to quiz me, I just need you to tell me the answer, or vice versa. I learn best by being asked questions. Sometimes that's all you need to make the puzzle pieces fit a little bit better. So like I said, let me know if you guys want me to talk about mentorship, because I could honestly go on forever about it. Okay, that is number 3. Number 4 is another thing that I talk about probably in almost every single video I film on this channel, and that is finding a work-life balance for yourself, especially in your first year of being a vet. I've come to realize burnout can happen even faster being a vet than it can being a vet student. And that's why setting boundaries and creating a work-life balance for yourself is so important, so that you can have a long career in this profession. And that's why it's also so important to be honest with yourself if you are feeling burnt out, and then taking steps to remedy that, because if you just push away those feelings, you're gonna hit a year out and you're not gonna wanna do this anymore. Again, like mentorship, work-life balance is gonna look different for everybody. So I think before you even find a job, figuring out what work-life balance looks like for you is really important, so that you can find a clinic that really meets those needs. The good news that I have for you is that I do find being a veterinarian and being at a vet school, I have so much more time and so much more flexibility. So having that work-life balance, it's so much easier to achieve that than it is being a vet student. I cannot tell you how nice it is to come home from work and be able to leave work at work. Whereas I felt like as a vet student, I would come home from vet school and I just brought vet school home with me because I had to study for 5 hours, and most weekends I spent studying. Whereas now that I'm officially working, work stays at work 95% of the time, which allows me to find hobbies that I really enjoy and invest a lot of my energy into things outside of the veterinary profession that bring me so much joy. Not only is it important to set boundaries for yourself outside of work, but what I found was actually the most challenging was setting boundaries for myself at work to make sure that I had a work-life balance. I remember my first couple months, I found it really hard to just be efficient, to get my notes done on time, and I was spending like an hour to 2 hours every night finishing up my records at the end of the day. So if you are a new grad watching this, there are a couple tips that I have for you just to make yourself more efficient at work, so that you can hopefully leave work on time every night, get home, and have that balance that you really need to have a long, sustainable career. Templates are amazing. I have made probably 15 to 20 templates that I just copy and paste into my medical records and then change based on like the patient signalment history, things like that. I have like a diarrhea template, an ear infection template, an eye infection template, just your standard vaccine templates. So it makes my note taking so much more efficient, and it means I spend probably half the time writing notes at the end of the day than I did when I first started out. Everyone's gonna write notes a little bit differently, but let me know if you guys want me to share those templates for you to download to hopefully make your life a little bit easier. It took me a while to figure out like a template that worked best for me, that really reflected my own way of practicing medicine. But now that I have those templates, I'm so much more efficient when it comes to record taking. The other thing that takes up a lot of your time being a vet is callbacks and client communication side of the job. This was a really hard thing for me to do, and that was delegating tasks to other team members. I don't necessarily need to call back every blood work or fecal sample result that I get put on my board. If they are normal blood works and if they are negative for everything, I try and delegate those tasks as much as I possibly can, because that was another reason why I was staying so late, was I was just trying to get all my callbacks done at the end of the day. I felt a little bit weird about this at first because I'm one of the younger members of the team, and I would feel really weird going to, you know, the techs who are so much more seasoned than I am and being like, hi, can you please do this for me? And I still ask them like that. I'm like, hi, I'm so sorry to bother you, but if you have time, can you please do this? spoiler alert, they don't care. They're more than happy to do those things for you. So being able to delegate those other tasks to people on your team who are more than capable of doing them, it takes a big load off yourself as a veterinarian, and it allows you to focus on other things that you as a veterinarian are the only person who are able to do. So yes, work-life balance, super important. Always something that I have advocated for on this channel. Definitely something that's more achievable as a veterinarian, but I think is something that's even more important versus when I was in vet school. Okay, last and final point of the video. This is by far the most important point, and that is, do not forget to be proud of yourself. Like I said, your first year out as a vet is going to be a roller coaster. I have had some of the best days and I have had some of the worst days in the past year, and they're pretty all over the place. Like literally last week, I wanted to go cry in the office when I was doing that dental, and it's so easy to fall into that negative mindset or that negative cycle when you're having feelings of imposter syndrome, when you're feeling doubt, when you feel like you don't know what the heck you're doing. So especially in those moments, it's so important to remind yourself of how far you've come. My first week out, I'm not kidding you when I said every single case that walked through the door, I was asking the other vets questions about. Even simple vaccine appointments, I was like, what do? I don't know how to do this. There was always like one part of the exam that I had questions about, or one part of the treatment plan where I was like, I don't know what to do here. And now I feel like there's maybe like 1 or 2 cases every couple days that I have questions about, but for the most part, I'm a self-sufficient vet, can handle a lot on my own at this point, and it's really cool to just look back and see how far I've come in a year out. When I first started, my neuters would take honestly 40 minutes, and now I'm doing them in like 10 to 15 minutes. A lot of growth in the first year of being a vet, and I think it's really important to remind yourself of how far you've come and to be proud of yourself when you have these milestones. It's even silly little milestones, or what may seem like silly milestones to some people, that honestly make me feel the best as a vet. I remember the first Saturday I worked by myself where I didn't have to call my boss and be like, help, I have 100 questions for you. I was over the moon. Or like the first really sick case that I worked up all on my own, I was just like so proud of myself, and I was like, this is what 4 years of vet school has led up to. There are always going to be moments in the veterinary profession where you're not going to know what's going on, where you're going to have questions, where you need to seek out other resources, and that's just part of being a vet. But I think taking the time to remind yourself of how far you've come, celebrating your little wins is so important. It makes your first year out not feel as scary. And I think having a team around you that also celebrates your little wins is really important too. I remember my first vaccine document that I signed, like my coworkers were taking pictures and being like, your first signature as a doctor. Like those little things that may seem like nothing, they really do give you that boost of confidence to be like, okay, I can do this. I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna be a good vet even if I have 700 questions that I'm gonna ask that day. So if you are in your first year out, if you are just starting, if you are 360 days in and no one has told you recently that they're proud of you, I'm here to tell you that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of how far you've come. This is your reminder to celebrate some little win today. But all in all, I'm so thankful that my first year out as a veterinarian has been as positive and as rewarding as it has been. I also wanted to say a massive thank you to anyone who's been watching. If you've been here since the 5 things I learned in my first year of vet school video, thank you for sticking around and supporting me through it. So there you have it, 5 things I learned in my first year of being an official veterinarian. I cannot believe we are here. Like I said earlier, if you want to see more videos about mentorship, about euthanasias, about anything that I have learned in my past year of being a new grad, feel free to let me know down below. Always looking for video suggestions. And again, a massive thank you for being here and supporting me on my veterinary journey. It's crazy to think that I started filming these videos after my first year of vet school, and here I am 1 year out after being a real vet. So honestly, I'm living the dream, and I'm so thankful every day for that. Okay, time to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Link says bye too.